Good morning. Welcome to SSUC Edmonton, where we're gathered here as spiritual seekers united in community. We're so glad you could join us this morning. And wherever you happen to be this morning, welcome. Whether you're in Edmonton or Saskatoon, in BC, Ontario, all parts in between, or across the world, we're glad you could join us in this spiritual gathering today. We're joined here in this room in South Edmonton by Micah and Carolyn as our musicians, some of which you've heard just now, and we'll have a chance to hear them again a little bit later. Deb and Jim join us on vocals this morning as they lead us in song, and we're grateful for Noah and Brett in the booth that are able to bring this broadcast to you. Our thoughts are with Nancy this morning as she and Dawn have taken some time this week to get away, and we'll be glad to have Nancy back next Sunday. But in the meantime, they're enjoying some rest and some travel. Today is a day where we can do a little bit of looking back. We have for many weeks been exploring the theme of the wisdom of trees. And when we've done that, when we started out, we had a list, and it certainly wasn't 17 items long in terms of theme. But as trees grow, so do ideas, so does creativity, and so do the themes that came through to us and to you as you experienced that with us over these many weeks. And so we were so grateful to have this time to explore what the trees may teach us. And today, maybe we just couldn't let it go. We couldn't take our own advice from last week, and we couldn't let the series go without a time to look back and to reflect and to hear from you as well. And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to see some glimpses of some of our favorite moments and hear in your own words what this series has meant to you. So as we do that today, over the course of the next little while, we are going to partake now in one of our beloved traditions and important rituals, whether we're in the same room here together or we're all in our homes wherever we happen to be. And that is, if you have a candle, I want to invite you to light it with me as I light our candle here. This candle is a reminder of the connection that we have with each other, the connection we have with all the earth, with all the creatures, and with every living and green being. We light this candle knowing that even though we're not together, we are connected in the most profound ways. That as we do this little ritual in our homes or in this room here, we recognize the light that shines within us, that shines between us, that shines among us. For perhaps the last time, but maybe not, we're going to share a song as we open our time together, a song that Rochelle Ikram was so generous to learn and to record for us at the very beginning of our series on trees, and we'll sing along with her as we share this song, To Live More Closely as we pray.
As trees reach up to the sunlight, as leaves unfurl in the spring, as roots dig deep into history, A dream of people's kindred, a cause of justice and peace, a call to serve and help others, a voice of kindness increase. This is a glimpse of the journey. This is the hope of our song, to live more closely as we pray, connected in one our lifelong. A glimpse of holy in others, a sense of nature's strong power, an owning spirit within us, a trust in facing each hour. This is a glimpse of the journey. This is the hope of our soul, to live more closely as we pray, connected in one our lifelong.
Well, as promised, and as I invited you to share some of your reflections on this series throughout the week, you came through for us. Many of you responded over the past week with some of your reflections on what this series has meant to you, and even just some favorites and some thoughts around that. And I wish I could read every word. But we don't have till 2 p.m, so I have distilled some of those down to really the heart of what has been shared, and we're going to do that in two segments this morning, just to break things up a little. But I want to start sharing some of the feedback that you've had on our series. Sherry Ann Chapman wrote and reflected about how trees reach, bend, and apparently contort their limbs to reach for the sun, and how that made a big impression with me. She writes, "I've noticed trees in new ways throughout my summer walks, and I've been inspired to keep reaching." And then also that reflection on letting go. I am now balancing that reaching with inspiration to know when to let go and quiet for a bit. Virginia has written and said this: "This was an inspired and inspiring series. I look forward to each week and am somewhat sad to see it end." Virginia, I don't think you're alone there. We have really thoroughly enjoyed every bit of it, all of us. She continues, "I couldn't pick one favorite because almost all of them stayed with me through the week." Thank you, Virginia. Bonnie Berg wrote this. Well, she mentions a lot of the themes that were important to her, but here are a few highlights. Lending shelter, healing wounds, and particularly those Kate Parker pictures of those children and their scars. She writes some other highlights. A gathering in July with Anne and Deb and Dawn, Noah, Sophie, and Daisy contributions with music, and the group singing "Let Me Be a Neighbor." She shares that Sherry Ann moments were always a highlight, and Kate and Janice playing the music was something she treasured. It's so hard to choose favorites. What a wonderful and rich theme, she writes. This has been so supportive and has given me lots of warm fuzzies. Thank you, Bonnie. I can picture you saying that just now. I want to share something from Nell Owens, who has written, "I could mention a lot of things about the tree theme, but I really appreciated that the pictures that we used came from the SSUC community. Somehow, it made it more meaningful to identify with because those were our trees, and I usually knew the photographer. That made it easier to extrapolate to the stories being our stories with great appreciation. Thank you, Nell. And Terry Harrison from Saskatoon wrote this. She wrote while she was driving, so it was very fun to read her stream of consciousness as she texted and typed in the car. But Terry writes, the poetry, the science information, the scripture, the music, the prayers, and overall spiritual connections were so great. The encouragement and relevance for today's time was valid and important, and I found many helpful pieces during this time of moving through grief with my mom's death. Endings, beginnings, and new phases. The circle of life and wisdom of trees. Terry also shares Sherry Ann's signing interpretations were so moving to them and brought Dawn to tears on many occasions. So many thanks to you, Terry and Dawn, for those comments. Just a few more. Another writer sent this. I have thoroughly enjoyed the tree series and have only missed a couple of weeks. I thought I could pick some favorites, but I can't. I've learned life skills from these messages, especially about how a tree that grows in difficult situations becomes stronger. And who couldn't be inspired by the message of letting go? I want to share what Lauren has written to us. Not only has the science been good, but the relevance to current events has been exceptional. I've enjoyed the contributions of members of the congregation a lot, and two stand out. When Curtis spoke in his writings of reincarnation and coming back as a tree, as part of the forest ecosystem, I felt he was speaking my language. And another memory from Lauren, when Gilda told the story of the shaping of trees with enthusiasm, it was amazing to hear from her. Only one to mention Gilda and Curtis. It was a common theme and some highlights that we heard. Just lastly, I want to share from Tricia Little. Tricia writes, I found so many moments of wisdom. Thank you. I was especially touched by the wisdom of grounding and learning to bend, the sense of being grateful for the roots that ground us, and the courage and flexibility to embrace change. Those photo and video submissions by SSUC members were absolutely lovely. The song Let Me Be a Neighbor, done by choir members, separate yet together, was beautifully done. I will refer to these many learnings in the coming years and whenever I am with the trees. I love the series, truly. Well, that's just some of your feedback, and we thank you. And I hope that some of those words resonate with you, that they bring back some memories of things that maybe you've forgotten or also experienced in similar ways. And so thank you for all of those messages and those words that you took time to write. I mentioned that not just one mentioned Gilda's appearance to read a story, and that has inspired us to bring Gilda back to share this again, this story that she recorded for us. And so I would love to introduce you again to Gilda Valley and her wonderful reading of a story for us.
Good morning, everyone. Chris has asked me to read this story to you this morning. It's called The Night Gardener. It's written and illustrated by two brothers, Eric and Terry Fan. They live in Toronto, and they've dedicated this book to their mom and dad. So let's go. I want you to take a good look at these first two pages. because the color and the name of the town, which is Grimlock Lane, tells you something about this community. There's a big change in this community at the end of the story, and we'll see what happens. On the next page, we see a kindly elder gentleman with a ladder. I wonder what that's about. And a little boy who seems quite lonely and alone, who's entertaining himself there. And in the next page, the elderly gentleman has propped his ladder against a tree, and he's choosing a pair of pruners from a collection that he has. So the name of this story is The Night Gardener. And on this page, we see that this town has an orphanage, and the elderly man is up on the ladder, and he's beginning to prune the tree. And then we see this lonely little boy looking out the window. His name is William. William looked out his window to find a commotion on the street. He quickly dressed, ran downstairs, and raced out the door to discover the wise owl had appeared overnight. As if by magic, William spent the whole day staring at it in wonder. And he continued to stare until it became too dark to see. That night, he went to sleep with a sense of excitement. And on the next page, we see this kindly older man surrounded by cats. I assume these are strays. One of them is rubbing up against the man's leg, which shows he's a very kind person, and he appears to have put down some feed for these cats. The following morning, William was not disappointed. Each day, William discovered a new topiary. For those of you who don't know what a topiary is, it's a tree that's been cut into a different shape. Next was a friendly rabbit, followed by a pretty parakeet. And then a playful elephant. Something was happening on Grimlock Lane. Something good. The next day, William dashed out of his house and followed the crowds only to find the most magnificent masterpiece yet. And this one took 2 trees to do. Children are playing in its branches, and there's somebody swinging on one of the branches, and people are admiring. Festivities continued long after the sun had set. As William was about to head home, he sees this kindly gentleman ahead of him. He spotted someone unfamiliar. Could it be? Could it be? And then, on the next page, he's following this kindly man into Grimlock Park. And the older man turned to William and he said, "There's so many trees in the park. I could use a little help." it was the night gardener. Under the light of a full moon, they worked deep into the night, and the next page shows them having a nap up in a tree, sitting in the crotch of a very large branch. I guess William went to sleep because there's the gardener carrying him down to the ground. When William awoke, he heard the sound of happy families walking by, and there was a gift from the night gardener, a pair of pruning shears with a gift tag on it. The whole town had come out to admire the night gardener's and William's hard work, and here we see all kinds of exotic animals. There's a giraffe, a camel, a rhinoceros, and a bear. Wow! Over time, the leaves changed. And then fell until there was no evidence that the night gardener had ever been to Grimlock Lane. So now we've got winter, but the people of the small town were never the same. And if you look at the street in this photo, in this page rather, and compare it to the first two that we looked at, you'll see such a difference. But the people of the small town were never the same, and neither was William.
Oh, my love is like a red, red rose that's newly sprung in June. My love is like a melody that's sweetly played in tune. As fair thou art, my body lies, so deep in love am I, and I will love thee still, my dear, till all the seas come dry, till all the seas come dry, my dear, and the rocks melt with the sun. I will love thee still, my dear, while the sands of life shall run, and fare thee well, my only love, and fare thee well a while, and I will come again, my love, though it were 10,000 miles.
I want to share some more of your words that you have shared with us. Jim Robertson has written that there's a meaningful lesson that I was reminded of when we were on a walk this morning. It could be summarized by a slogan attributed to Robert Bruce: if at first you don't succeed, try again. On our walk, we observed a poplar tree that had suffered 2 or 3 adversities and was growing with 2 or 3 switchbacks in its trunk. Cut off, broken off, I don't know, but it was doing its best to continue growing. We all have those adversities. Wonderful to be aware of this wisdom. Thank you, Jim. Pam Boudelier writes, "My appreciation for trees and nature has changed throughout this summer. The sounds of the leaves blowing in the wind is my favorite. It's music to my ears. I smile and my heart sings. I loved all of the reflections. Thank you for encouraging us to share pictures and to have our own say and share our own thoughts." Thank you, Pam. From Mark Hetherington, "Much gratitude for the gems of wisdom in every theme. Many seeds were planted. The teachings from the trees that have stayed most vividly during this pandemic are learning to bend, growing in resilience, and wearing of my wounds. There's been a great nudge from the trees to trust in my capacity toward resilience and being able to adapt." Now, Marg shared quite a lot, and I will just share 1 or 2 more things of what she's written. Like others, Marg was so grateful for Sherry Ann's interpretive movement and expressions of our amazing universe and our widening embrace. Marg remembers a memorable video of NASA images of the Earth's 3 trillion trees cleaning and lowering CO2 levels every spring and summer. And she remembers memorable quotes or images like "moving at a forest pace," or "how does a tree know when to wake up?" She remembers the images of nurse logs and the question, "Who's living in my tree right now?" "I've always loved trees, but now I have a deeper sense of respecting them as teachers and relating to them as kin." Thank you, Marg, for those words. And Joan has written, "Had a wonderful response to each theme." She did actually have a wonderful response. I wish I could show you Joan's email because she practically listed every theme and the notes that she'd taken and what was impactful for her on each of those. And so it was lovely to see how she responded to each one of those. And I'll just share 1 or 2. She says, "I now have a greater awareness of all the life lessons that trees offer us. It's difficult to select highlights, but the stories, songs, poems, music, quotations added immeasurably. I vividly remember all of our reactions to the murder of George Floyd. And it was an opportune time to reflect on the wisdom of the trees, that we are all unique and valuable with no exceptions." And Joan also remembers the theme of being here. "Nothing exists but the present moment where we live and create." She says, "Now when I see a map stating 'you are here,' I think of Nancy's observing how we tend to focus on what is over there and not here. How true. It takes mindfulness and practice to stay present like the trees." Thank you, Joan, for those reflections. And the last one I'll share is from Wynne Thompson from Saskatoon. She writes, "I've noticed that each week as we have been thinking about the gifts and teachings of trees, we have in our midst a group offering similar gifts. They support each other as they stand together yet physically distanced. They fill silence with sounds of beauty and harmony. They offer inspiration and comfort. Like trees, our instrumentalists and vocalists are faithful and steadfast, and we're always blessed by their presence. So that one's for the musicians among us. Thank you, Wynne, for those words. Well, I want to share with you now another video that we're going to bring back. As you have heard through the sharing of your own feedback, Sherry Ann's video movement interpretations were such a meaningful part of the last few months for so many. And so we first aired this video of her interpreting the Carolyn McDade song, The Vast Universe, on May the 10th. And so we'd like to share that again with you. This is Sherry Ann's interpretation of that song, and it offers us the opportunity to offer a very big thank you to her for the work that she put in to recording and to interpreting these songs. We thank you, Sherry Ann. There is a lovely picture that you gave to us of you and your favorite tree just outside of your house. If we could switch to that, we see Sherry Ann, and it gives us the opportunity to say thank you to her and just how grateful we are for your contributions over these last months. Here's Vast Universe. Something about me likes bookends, likes circles, likes to come back around to where we have started. And so when thinking about a piece of wisdom to share this morning at the end of our series, I looked back to where we started. And what I found there was a piece of wisdom that we shared back on our first introduction to our Wisdom of Trees series. And it comes from the ancient words of Hebrew mystics and prophets in the book of Proverbs. Wisdom literature that was written centuries ago. And it's a piece of wisdom from which we get that image, that very strong image of the tree of life. Many people have images of that either in jewelry or in iconography. Many artists have rendered the tree of life, and it's lovely to read these words that come from the 3rd chapter of Proverbs, and I'm going to read those now. You are blessed when you meet Lady Wisdom, when you make friends with Madam Insight. She is worth far more than money in the bank. Her friendship is better than all the money in the world. Her value exceeds all the trappings of wealth. Nothing you could wish for holds a candle to her. With one hand she gives long life, and with the other she confers recognition and acknowledgement. Her manner is beautiful, her life wonderfully complete. She, Lady Wisdom, is the very tree of life to those who embrace her. Hold her tight and be blessed. In these ancient words, may we find wisdom for our living. I think it's amazing how we've shared so many thoughts and ideas over these past 17 weeks of this series. It has been great fun for me, but I think for so many, meaningful to make friends with Madam Insight in this way that we have explored with our friends the trees. Wisdom is like the very tree of life to those who embrace her. So my interpretation of that phrase is, let's go hug a tree and see what wisdom we might come away with. We will hold her tight, the wisdom wherever we find it. We'll all remember this time for its unusual and unique experiences. The spring and summer of 2020 have been like no other in any of our memories or experiences. I think that goes without saying. But let's also remember how much we've learned throughout this time. We have learned from each other. We've learned about ourselves, our weaknesses and our resilience. And we've learned about what the gift of nature, and specifically the forest of trees, have to teach us about life, the world, and our very living within it. So nothing we could wish for can hold a candle to that wisdom, says the ancient writer. And I think I might just believe her. That nothing can hold a candle to the wisdom we find when we open our eyes and our hearts and our minds to whatever wisdom we find. So, having said that, I want to thank the so many people who contributed to this series in stories, in pictures, in input and feedback through those long weeks, to the musicians and artists who have helped us, to everyone who has been part of this series. Thank you. And it's an opportunity to look back through pictures now and images of some of the places we've been over the past few months. The places we've been together, thanks to you sharing these images and experiences, these words and these images. So we are going to share then this video, this compilation of pictures. There it is. Just a few invitations. We have the opportunity to join for a coffee chat today at 11:15. in just a few minutes, just chance enough to grab a snack and join us on Zoom for a coffee chat at 11:15. You'll find the links either in Friday's e-messenger, or you can visit that website, ssucedmonton.com/Sunday Zoom connections. Sunday, not Sunday, Sunday Zoom connections. On that website, you'll find the Zoom links to get you into our coffee chat this morning. Also, Tuesday Topics Fall Series starts this Tuesday, September 15th at 7 p.m. You are welcome to join, and you'll find links to that also in the messenger. That's a Zoom connection as well. Please feel free to contact us anytime with feedback, with stories, with your questions or comments, any of those ways to get a hold of us. Of course, want to thank you all for contributing to the work of SSUC. Your donations help keep what we're doing happening, and we are grateful for whatever way you can donate to us. We are thankful. We have a wonderful opportunity coming up in the Expressing Wonder Conference, and by video we have Tricia to give us a little more insight, a little more information on Expressing Wonder. Here she is.
Hello, I'm Tricia Little, a member of SSUC Saskatoon, and I'd like to personally invite you to our conference, Expressing Wonder, Seeing the World with Eyes Wide Open, October 2nd through 4th. I had the opportunity to have conversations with our speakers in planning the conference. Ali Abukar is a lovely presence about him. He's got a steady, calm manner and is very well spoken. He's the CEO of the Saskatoon Open Door Society, which is an organization that welcomes and aids immigrants and refugees arriving in Saskatoon. Being a refugee himself, originally from Somalia and fleeing to Egypt and finally into Ontario, he's well suited for the job. He has attained a number of degrees along the way. Ali recognizes that having the conversation about systemic racism is an uncomfortable thing to do, but it's very necessary. I'm looking forward to having that conversation with him at the conference and learning some tangible ways to truly be anti-racist and an active ally. Ernie Lutet is a member of the Missinaibi Cree Nation in Northern Ontario. He's a retired soldier and retired police officer. Ernie is an optimistic, fun-loving, delightful man. I could see the twinkle in his eye as we spoke on Zoom. His views on policing and ways to improve the system are worth hearing. He is a storyteller to the core. I read an article that indicated that his compassionate, patient, and observational approach made him one of the most trusted leaders in the police force. His most recent book, The Indian Ernie: Perspectives on Leadership and Policing, brings those attributes to the forefront. There will be a segmented time for posing questions and offering comments to Ernie, and he is looking forward to those interactions. Mitch Babin is a young local artist. Mitch will be showing us many of his vibrant paintings of landscapes and of people, along with his use of other mediums. One of our members will interview him so we can hear about his journey and share a story that fits the theme of this conference. From the coffee house on Friday evening to the reflective conversation following the Sunday spiritual gathering, we found some creative ways to offer a sense of community through candlelighting, inspirational songs, videos, poetry, readings, and small group discussions. Consider joining in this opportunity to learn, to be inspired, to be surrounded by others who are eager to be allies with those who experience systemic racism. Let's see the world with eyes wide open together and then take action. Thank you.
The deadline for registering for Expressing Wonder is approaching, and we want to encourage you, after hearing Tricia talk about those amazing speakers and opportunities, please visit that website on your screen and register, or give a call or an email, or visit the SSUC office, and we'll help you get registered for that. Lady Wisdom, that has been with us over these many weeks as we've learned from the trees, but also a blessing as we take from this time and into our day. Let's sing together with the leadership of Deb and Jim and Micah on piano. Let's sing this blessing to each other. We'll share together words to strengthen our intentions as we move into this day and into this week. We will share those words that will appear on your screen, speaking them, reading them, or simply closing our eyes and hearing them. We will strengthen our intentions. With gratitude to all things living, we affirm the wisdom of the natural world. We know we are wise to listen to the lessons of the trees, our ancient and beautiful siblings. May we take into our living all that we learn from them, and may we stay open and aware to the teaching and splendor of the trees. Let's bring our contentment and thankfulness for the ways we are strengthened and encouraged, for the more focused consciousness we bring to our relationships with each other, the forest, and all the natural world. May we walk among the trees today and every day. And so in this time that we've had together, with the gratitude for each other as community, and for the way that we will take what we've learned, take what we've experienced, share it, incorporate it into our living, transform it into something beautiful in each of our individual lives, so too we transform the light. And we go from this place, from this time, into the rest of our day. May we be well. May we all go in the love and peace that is community, that is our time together. Be well and go in peace, everyone.